If it's knowledge, humour, or a different perspective that you seek, look for the wisdom in the words that we speak. Words and wisdom. We'll let you decide.
Welcome back to the Words and Wisdom podcast, guys. Or if you're a new listener, welcome aboard. This is the podcast where we tackle the constraints of society's conditioning, hopefully giving you tools and techniques to take away to deal with your trials and tribulations in life.
I love it when you say that. You get me pumped.
Yeah, in which area?
All over.
Giggity, giggity.
And again, guys, we don't claim to be experts in anything other than the field of ourselves. And with that, we want to help you. So today is all about, Zach.
Today we're going to talk about, so we've got a little quote that we enjoy saying, and it's, be the change you want to see in the world.
It comes up in every podcast.
It does, mate. I think you brought my attention to that quote, and I really do enjoy that quote. And I was thinking, just the other day, I was listening to a podcast and I was thinking about how I could change the world, or at least make my world feel more full of love and happiness and joy. And then the quote popped into my head, and then maybe half an hour later, this podcast I was listening to, it also said the quote, and I was like, right, we need to do the podcast on this. And I also want to talk about creating, because I think it goes hand in hand, but creating a healthy mindset and some strength mentally, like mental resilience, because recently, and I haven't told you this yet, I've been going through, over the last few months, a lot of self-doubt, a loss of self-confidence in my ability to do my job, as a personal trainer, as a coach. Just in myself, I look in the mirror and I'm like, I don't feel like I'm the same person I was this time last year. Like, I feel like I've took a big hit. And because I've lost my sense of purpose, because I'm no longer training people, I just feel a bit lost. I've been feeling a bit lost at the minute. And I've had a lot of thoughts of, now I don't like to say this lightly, because I'm sure we've all experienced this, but I won't actually go through with it, but my brain's been saying, maybe it's just easier to not be here in that sense. So now what I do is I talk about thoughts like that, because I feel if I keep them in, they build up, and then they create. It's like an army, and then I think that's when we can tend to go down that route, because we often hear of people who take their own lives, and we're like, we didn't see that coming. And I think it's because we don't speak about it. We don't feel like we can speak about it, because I think it's somewhat natural to have thoughts like that. Because of course it's easier to not be here, because life's tough. Life is tough. There's also beautiful aspects of life, but I wanted to talk about it on this podcast because I've been having them recently. Every now and again, I'll have a day where I'm like, I just don't want to be here. I really do not want to be on this earth anymore, because I'm looking in all directions. I'm looking at my own life. I'm looking outside in the world, and I'm thinking, this isn't a pleasant place to be. But it's just a day for me. Like, some people do experience it day after day. So when I'm talking to people about it, they said, yeah, a lot of people have been saying that recently. And I think if there's a lot of people saying it, maybe we need to, like we say, give people tools and techniques to try and deal with these thoughts. So yeah, I want to talk about that as well.
I mean, first of all, I think you're incredibly brave for saying that. And you are right, it should be more talked about, and it should be more open. So maybe it shouldn't be a brave thing. Oh my God, how have you spoke about this? But in this current climate, in this current society, in this current world that we're living in, it's incredibly brave. So I really value you saying that. It's fascinating, me thinking of you as a person, our relationship together, love you as a brother, really an amazing person in my eyes. What you're doing is right, and you're such a big character, big figure for me. So I'm sorry that you're going through that. I'm coming from an empathic place here too. You're not alone. There's a lot of people out there in that spirit. Luckily for me, I have gained a sense of, I built a world up for myself that I'm the happiest place I've been in polar to that. I've got a family, I've got passions or things that I'm driven by. And somewhat we're hearing that made me really upset, because I don't want you to have to go through that. And when I'm feeling a certain way, you just think, oh, everyone's in it, everyone's there, it's feeling that. And it hurts me to hear that you're in that place.
Here's why I want to talk about it as well, because I've built up I've had it for years, mate. Like, it's not like I've had it as if it's a diagnosis or a symptom, or it's just I've had the thoughts before. They've come and gone. The thing is I would never do it. I would never do it. Like, I just couldn't do it to other people. It doesn't make sense for me to do it, but there is sometimes overwhelming thoughts of it. But I want to talk about it because I've built up a mental resilience, and I feel like we can help other people to build that.
I like what you said though about the talking about it. If you turn it into this Voldemort aspect, we don't talk about it, we don't talk about it, we don't talk about it, it becomes the big forefront in your mind, and it just keeps circulating.
Because if we go back to the Voldemort metaphor, what did Harry Potter do? One thing to take away his power is he started to say his name. He started to say his name, more people was like, oh, he's like, well, I'm not scared of him anymore.
Yeah. I think you're doing the exact right thing, and it's very powerful.
So I want to talk about, so we'll get into be the change you want to see in the world, and I think we'll lead into that.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about how, when I have those thoughts, how I deal with them. And hopefully, if anybody else is having these thoughts, reach out to somebody, whether it's us, whether it's family, whether it's friends, and just tell them that you are feeling like this. Because sometimes people can say things, when we're in that state, we don't think anyone can help us. But sometimes people can say things that do sit with us, even though it doesn't affect us in that moment and change our minds. We might go to sleep and wake up the next day, and that in the subconscious, everything that person has said has kind of resonated with you without you even knowing. So do go and tell people. Reach out to us if you're feeling like this at the minute. We're happy to talk. But yeah, how I deal with those thoughts is, usually I do make sure someone's there. I'm like, I get Chloe around, the girl I'm seeing, and I'll talk to her about it. And as soon as I've spoke about it, it lifts it a little bit anyway. Sometimes I'll need to be on my own, and sometimes I'll just say to myself, if I can get through today, because it's funny, it happened on Wednesday. It happened on Wednesday. Thursday I woke up and I was in the best mood. I was feeling good. I was feeling motivated. Fortunately, Chloe was there overnight and everything. So do go to sleep on it. Do try and speak about it. But also, I feel the reason I can get through these negative emotions, I wouldn't say so well, but, I can get through them, is because of my training, is because of my physical resistance training, is because of the physical fitness, the food that I put in my body. Apart from the McDonald's I had this morning. But yeah, my diet is full of berries and fruits and vegetables, so that boosts your neuro system or your neurological system, your nerves and your brain, and which obviously is your mood and your mental health. But also pushing through training through, say you've got a set of 3 sets of 10 and it's difficult, or say you're doing 3 sets of 30 seconds of an interval exercise. When you get towards the end of those exercises, you're puffing, you're blowing, your brain's telling you to stop, but you push on anyway. You build a little bit of mental resilience or mental strength. So you are then able to deal with pain, negative feelings in your head, because training is a negative feeling. It's like, oh my God, I want to stop, I don't like, When you do that and you put that on yourself and you push through the barriers, you create so much strength on the other side of that so that you can deal with life's kind of trials and tribulations, as we speak about. And also physical pain, but we're talking about mental pain today. So yeah, I feel that the years of training I've put in have created I just can't quit. There's something weird in me that won't quit. Even with the personal training, I've had a few months off. I'm like, I'm fed up with this. I went and got a little job knocking plaster off a wall. And I did it for a week, and then I walked out on Wednesday because I just stood there. I was like, this is not for me. I started thinking about how could I get back to coaching? How could I get back to helping people? So I'm grateful that it gave me that spur of motivation. Where was I going with this?
Well, I was just listening in too, and looking on your Instagram and profile, and watching these podcasts, people watching this may have a certain perception of you and about you, and even your close mate has one of those about you. So when people compare themselves to others as well, and look at this life, look at that life, we don't know what's going in the back doors, inside our heads. So I just think it's so important you talking about this in such an open, real and honest way. And I reflect on it because I've done comparisons so much recently, and we're in a COVID world, man. We're in a brand new world, and how many people are existing like this now, what you're talking about, that had it all in a certain way? They wanted changes in their lives, but not so dramatic, not so heavy hitting as what we've been faced with. You've got to lose your job, change your tactics, try this out, do that. It's so painful to see.
People have no longer, some people, not all people, but some people have found a new purpose and a new passion, or they've continued with their current purpose and passion, and hats off to them, and I'm happy for them. Some people, on the other hand, just have had everything taken away from them, and they feel like they've got no purpose, no drive. There's no reason for them to be here. And when you're in that spot, when you're in that place of no purpose, your brain can tell you that there is no point in being here.
Yeah.
So I think it is.
That's my meaning to life, is passion and purpose. Yeah. I really believe it.
And passion and purpose has become such a cliche couple of words. It's just so like thrown around. I mean, passion for me sometimes isn't there, but purpose definitely is. Like when I went back to thinking, I'm going to coach people, I'm going to help people change, I had one of my clients send me a message saying she lost 5 pounds, which is 2 stone in total. I was like, oh cool, that's good. It made me feel like I had a purpose again, or it made me feel like I had worth. One of my friends, Jono, I told him I wasn't feeling so good, and he says, because I go and see him every Friday, but I couldn't when I was doing the job. And he says, I'm really looking forward to having you back. And I was like, I must bring some kind of value to his life if he feels like that. That made me well up as well. I was like,
dude.
So it's having purpose, whether it's in friendships, in relationships. Helping people is a brilliant one. I mean, when I was feeling not so good, I cooked tea for Chloe, and she really enjoyed it. And because she enjoyed it, it made me feel good. I was like, I've done something for somebody else, and now I've took my problems away from me. So
altruism. So, a question to ask you: do you know when your attitude towards your personal training and the thing you did have passion with deteriorated and started going downwards? Was that during the COVID world and this new change? Because then did you start noticing in people that they weren't motivated anymore, they didn't want to change, and because their attitudes were all sort of diminished, so then that started implementing onto your career? Do you know what I mean? When before this you were thriving, you were out there training yourself, looking pretty damn good, man, looking awesome, but then you were helping others, and they were in a world where they were happy, they were feeling good, content, and then training with you, and it lasted because of that. Was it a deterioration in these times?
It was a deterioration in these times. The place I was working out of, training people out of, was also not where I wanted to be. So
the healthiest place for you.
Yeah, but then when I was doing online coaching the first lockdown, I felt motivated, I felt ready. But what happened is, and I'm sure a lot of people have experienced this, the whole lockdown freedom, it was like, everyone just feels like we can't really make any future plans. And when you've got we learn this as personal trainers, but when you've got no goals to aim towards, you just lose drive. We need something to work towards. When we don't feel like we've got anything to work, and at the minute, how do we know what to work towards? Because we've got no idea what's coming in the future. We don't know when this lockdown's going to end. We don't know what's coming after the lockdown. Is there going to be another wave of it? So in our brains, we're just like, we've just gave up. I think a lot of people have, and I think, to answer your question, that constant on off has affected everybody else's motivation, affected my motivation, and because it's affected theirs and they've stopped putting the effort in, it's made me feel like, well, I obviously can't do anything anyway. So then I think, to answer your question, it has taken an effect on, but I just feel like there's a light now. I feel like, and I think I like to think it's all part of a journey.
It's a great attitude.
So that even though I've spent 3 months, 4 months feeling down, demotivated, decided to get a job and think, I'm just going to do a 9 to 5, or I'm going to do this or that. It's actually spurred me on to want to help people. It's given me a boost of motivation again. So those periods in our life where we do feel depressed and down and demotivated, sometimes we need them. We do actually need them to spur us on. Like there's like I think I've said it before, there's an old saying where there's a dog sat on a garden outside with it, and this guy walks past and he says, why is your dog moaning? Why is it complaining? Why is it howling? And the owner says, it's sat on a nail. And the guy says, why doesn't the dog move then? And he says, well, it's not hurting him enough. So we do need something to we do need a sharp nail in our arse to actually get us to move. And pain is a great motivator.
Mate, I completely agree with what you're saying. I suppose, particularly your industry though, because your body sculpting, training, attitude, motivation, coaching people is my creativity, art, poetry. And luckily for me, I can take that with me everywhere. got collaborations on the go all the time, and my passion and drive and purpose is always there. And then when I want to be creative, I say, Chrissy, can you have Ella for a minute? Here we go. I go and have my moment, and then I go and play family and dad and games. So I'm very blessed, lucky to be in a climate where I've been given the allowance to keep this hold. But for so many people in your journey, in your story, it's just been crushed. No more of this, no more of that. And the community spirit and feel's completely gone. So I absolutely feel for you. Just know, anybody, like you said earlier, if you are feeling this, do get in touch. We are very open
100%.
and honest people with love in our hearts, and we want to
100%.
help you. With the change you want to see, and I think it does flow quite nicely into this. Do you want to hear a bit of my story of
Yes, please.
how I got into Be the Change You Want to See, and where it entered my life?
You're great with stories, man.
No, it's a tiny story.
Let me get my blanket and my bottle, my milk bottle. Tell us a story.
This sounds unbelievable, and it's the cold heart truth. I promise you this is true. So I discovered it at the Maze, this quote.
What's the maze?
The Maze, so of course, I just think everyone's been to the Maze. It's in Nottingham. It's where all artists go and start out and perform. The big ones like Jake Bugg were there. It's where Motormouth, Lewis, they're all working at the Maze. So it's a hub of creativity. It's just a pub really, but I love it. I have so much heart there. So I was performing there a lot of times, and as we know on this podcast, I've discussed my mental health and deterioration, and I was reaching psychosis and schizophrenia. So whatever I'd read around anywhere, what people would tell me meant something. And it was all building up to a bigger purpose. It was building up to a story. And it didn't matter what affirmation it was. I had to sort of piece it together to the jigsaw. And I was creating quite a negative story. So I started to think there's pronoia, I found, and paranoia. Pronoia being you think everyone's there for you and they're all in with you. And paranoia is everyone's against you and they're trying to get you. So I built up these two things. And I think that's why labels are good sometimes, because I could diagnose it then and realise it's just my ego talking. I think everything's about me and the world doesn't actually revolve around me. So I run around with fear. And I was thinking, oh no, this is it. I'm going to the Maze. Are they all for me? Are they all against me? I don't know what it is. And I started having a bit of a panic attack at the Maze, because my brain twisted on me and thought, oh, this is dangerous. They're all after you.
Right, okay.
So I just panicked, had sweats on. Nobody probably knows this story, but I ran to the bathroom, ran in the bathroom, started like cleaning my face, tidying up. I went in the toilet to hide. Toilet, closed the door, sat there for a minute, panicking, thinking, what do I do? Looked up while sat on the toilet, and just in big bold letters, because it's the Maze and it's the creative hub, be the change you want to see. And something of that, I just kept looking at it, and it didn't just mean like other things have meant. Slight feelings emerged. It hit me in the face. It kind of punched me as hard as you could. I had a right hook, an uppercut, and a straight right, all on my nose.
Joshua style.
Yeah, all right on the nose. And I just thought, hang on a minute. I'm looking at this and be the change you want to see. Do I want to go around worrying all the time and creating that in other people? Like, sorry, I've got to go, and putting them on edge and being angry around people and making them hostile back. And what reality am I creating on my exterior world? And as soon as I read that, I sort of went out with a stride in my step, sat there, had a drink, and reflected while everyone's talking. I thought, I've got to change my outside world. How am I going to do it? It's got to be an inside job.
100%.
It's got to be an inside
100%,
job.
mate. And let's break. That's what.
I just discovered the meaning of life in the toilet, is what I'm saying. That's what I
Yes,
thought.
mate,
Nobody
yes.
would believe me.
Yeah, he's discovered the meaning of life, sat on the throne. No, that's what Be the Change is. It's funny, right? Because science has actually started to, well, over the last, I think it's 10 years, quantum physics has also proved this, and we'll get into that. But basically, there's a saying, your outside world is a reflection of your inside. So if we can give people a bit of something to relate to here, let's say you wake up. Have anybody ever woke up in a bad day? If you're listening to this, Mike, have you ever woke up in a bad mood? You feel like
100%.
100%. Have you gone out and has it been a bad day?
100%.
100%. Because you're feeling stressed, you're feeling anxious, you're feeling sad, you're feeling down in your body. So let's say you go out shopping and someone walks in front of you with a trolley. You go, oh, why is everybody out to get me today? He's walking out in front of me, and you react in a different way. Now, let's say you woke up in a good day, the sun's shining, you've had your favourite music on, you've been with your favourite people, you go shopping, someone walks out in front of you, it's more of a, oh, sorry, you know, one of them where you have a bit of a laugh with them and a bit of a joke. The same scenario has just happened, but you've got a different internal feeling. So you are literally creating your reality with how you are inside. So if you want the world to, everybody wants the world to change at the minute. I would love the world to change. We'd all love the world to change. And I do this as well. I'll go, I wish people would be kinder. I wish people, and then I'll go out and I'll go, well, he's a fucking idiot. Hold on a second. Check yourself first. Check yourself before you wreck yourself, as they say. And so like if you don't need to do anything, but it helps to create change within yourself. And that's kind of what these podcasts are about. We're trying to help people to create some kind of change within themselves so that they can experience a better reality.
And I think I'll probably say this in every podcast we do now. My words are all coming from a place of people that are looking to change and feeling inside a pain or a panging for something new and other. And that's all my words are directed towards. I'm not out there believing everyone's miserable, you need to look like this, because I don't know what's going on in people's lives. I don't know how, if somebody looks a certain way, acts a certain way, and I feel, well, that's probably not doing them any good. I don't know the honest truth. I don't know who they are and what they're about. But if people are watching this in terms of needing some guidance after some affirmations like we've wanted for all our lives, or a mentor, I'm just there for that, people. And this, for me, there's quotes along the line that even philosophers on their deathbeds, it's interesting, if you type in later, philosophers on their deathbeds, some of them wanted to change some of their beliefs and sayings after time. And there's one, I think it's Joseph Campbell, did follow your bliss. But on his deathbed, he wished he'd changed it to, don't follow your bliss, follow your blisters. Where you were talking about earlier, follow your pain, and that gets you to the root of your happiness and core. And there's some real spinning on the heads where philosophers have gone down this path and then there. But with Be the Change You Wish to See, I've never seen an adaptation of it that makes sense. It just always runs true. It always feels right when you say it. I've thought for a long time, probably too long on this quote before, but is there a different way of saying that? Is there another perspective that can be given? But no, because every time I think of it, I go, I really want this to happen in my life. Stop looking at other people and trying to manipulate and twist and change. And
I can give an example to that. So it works in so many different aspects. It works in relationships, in business, in everything. So like I spoke about on previous podcasts, I think it was sex addiction. 2019, I was so addicted to women and sex and just that empty, lustful feeling. I was obviously trying to fill a void, as we spoke about. But I was also saying, I'm just messing around until I find a good girl. Well, the thing is, the law of attraction states that, and we can speak about why this works, you don't get what you want, you get what you are, which sounds like a hippie quote, and it's very true. Like, if I am being a male, whatever you want to call it, let's say I was being a male slut and I was just sleeping about, I was being promiscuous, you get what you are, so therefore I will get the complete mirror image of what I was. But when I'm attracting that, I'm saying, but I want a good girl. Hold on a second. So what I did through 2020 is I did semen retention. I stayed away from women. And towards the end of the year, I actually met a really good girl. So because I became the change, I attracted the change. The reason this is according to quantum physics, if you look up Dr. Bruce Lipton or Dr. Joe Dispenza, they talk about this in depth because that's their field. You know, when you tune into Radio 1, you have to be on 97.9 hertz. It's a frequency, isn't it? If you're not on 97.9, you won't access Radio 1. Let's say Radio 1 is the change that you want to see. If you're resonating at a low frequency, 70, you ain't going to be able to tap into the change you want to see, aka Radio 1, 97.9.
I love your metaphors, always.
Well, what frequency is? Frequency is atoms. Every atom in your body vibrates at a certain speed. Now, have you ever said, "Oh, I'm buzzing at the minute"? Or have you ever been in love and felt like you're buzzing literally from the inside? Because
ecstasy,
because the higher the emotion, the higher the frequency, the higher the vibration. So it's like, I think lust, anger, and hatred are all at the bottom with like 50 to 200 hertz. Then it goes like reason and understanding, which is like 300, 400, 500 hertz. And it goes up to love and joy and compassion, which is like 600, 700 hertz. If you type in Google scale of consciousness, there's like an actual scale with colours and numbers, and it's pretty cool to look at. So here's the thing. If, like I spoke about Radio 1, connecting frequencies, if you are resonating at anger and hatred, you can only attract into your life anything, and everything has a vibration. Food has a vibration, low vibrational foods, which is why when you eat crap foods all the time, you get low energy. When you eat healthy, wholesome, nutritious foods, high vibrational foods, you feel happy, energetic, joyful, more energy. So, if you want to attract high vibrational people into your life, high vibrational situations and interactions and opportunities, you've got to be vibrating high. And then we can go back to the personal training. And the reason that I couldn't help anybody is because I was vibrating low, because I was feeling sorry for myself. I was feeling sad. I was feeling low. I was being sad. I said to you, I don't want to help anybody. I said that multiple times. I don't want to help anybody. Do you know what I've attracted over the last 3 months? I've lost money from weird scenarios. Everything's just falling to bits. But as soon as I've changed my mind and I want to help people again, I feel like I'm vibrating again. I've attracted weirdly people into my inbox. People have just started messaging me it's like, and people want training out of nowhere, mate. So it's proven in quantum physics. Be the change you want to see is proven, like, scientifically. Now, is it always easy to do that? No, it's not, mate. Some days I wake up and I go from, I always say to myself, I go from wanting to save the world to wanting to destroy it. But we need to do this 5 hours, even if it's just 1 day a week, we're vibrating higher. We choose to be in a good mood. We choose to eat healthier, more high vibrational foods. We choose to attract this into our... Then maybe it's 2 days a week after 3-4 months. Then maybe a year we do 3 days a week. And it is a long process of trying to build up on that.
It's like with diet, isn't it? Do you know, if you've got a really shit diet on a low frequency all the time, if every so often you just put in berries in there or something that's grown out the ground or wholesome, and you just keep adding, it changes your frequency, and you have your little spike and down, and then you realise when you hit them spikes how good it feels. So why would you keep pumping your body with these toxins and unnatural sources? So doing that in the world, random acts of kindness, when you've give a fiver to a homeless person or gone out your way to buy someone a coffee, or in the front of the queue they can't pay for whatever they're doing, you go, excuse me, I'll help you out there. You walk out that shop buzzing.
You feel insane. So you've just invested £5, let's say, to have an incredible day. Who wouldn't give £5 to feel good all day? I know I would. I'd happily. I've just spent £5 in a McDonald's. It's probably going to make me feel terrible, but it's my little thing that I like to do on a Saturday. But if you can invest £5 and feel incredible all day, here's the thing, you don't even have to spend money. You can go up to the cashier, who goes, hello, you're right, yeah, and you go, you've got beautiful hair. Or one thing I said to someone that works at McDonald's, that I wasn't trying to chat her up, by the way, so Chloe, if you're listening to this, she had a mask on, a blue mask, and she had blue eyes. I says, your eyes really match your mask. And she laughed, and she was like, oh, thank you.
Make someone smile in the day.
What you've done is you've raised her vibration, you've raised your vibration, and then when someone comes round, she can raise their vibration. That's how you change the world, because you're being it, you've passed it on, and it's contagious. Like, just as negativity, just as viruses are contagious, so is positivity and happiness.
Completely
and
agree
compassion.
With you. Me and Chrissy had a lovely experience. We were walking the other day.
Is this PG?
This is PG.
Yeah, okay, cool. No, I'm listening.
And then we went into the reservoir. But we were walking, and it was very business-orientated conversation, which is important at times, but it got quite heavy, and we wanted to have this change and try things. Then we got to Costa, get a little coffee in, and we ended up having like a 20-minute chat with the girls in there, and it was really beautiful, funny. We're having a laugh, talking of our tattoos, our baby, and we made this lovely new connection with people. And we walked out there, and all the way home we were just laughing and talking about random stuff and smiling, and our frequency on the way there was plateaued. It plateaued, and then we just thought, let's be in here and be ourselves and have a bit of fun. And then all the way home it had gone up and up and up. And it is what you've just said and explained it through the science. I felt on a genuine level, cellular level, and
it does.
Powerful.
And when everybody experiences, this isn't something that we're like special. We ain't got special gifts, or we're not super intelligent. We've just gone out of the way to understand why. And here's it, like I've said in the previous podcast. You understand, you can overcome.
Please, I say that every podcast because it is so.
There's a few quotes that we should. So, when people have a good day or when people have a bad day, you know, sometimes we don't question why. And what I've decided to do as being a personal trainer and being into the body and the mind and the health is I've questioned everything. So I'm like, why am I feeling good today? What did I eat last night? What did I do last night? Did I have a wank last night? Did I have a whiskey and a wank? Whiskey and a wank, anybody? £5 whiskey and a wank. So, yeah, did I drink too much alcohol? Did I drink too much? Why am I not sleeping? Too much caffeine? Oh, I had a coffee at 3 o'clock. That's why I'm not sleeping. So when you ask yourself, when you make these connections, you can then, you can then stay away from the things that make you feel bad, and we can head towards the things that make us feel good. And even though I didn't like the taste of fruit, I didn't like the taste of vegetables, but when I understood that it was making me feel good, all of a sudden the taste changed. I was like, oh, this isn't too bad.
I mean, I think you said something wonderful last week as well.
Just something.
Just one thing. Just the whole few hours we were together.
Come on now, Mikey.
I was thinking, come on, Zach, you've got something in the box. But it made me reflect, and you had a male friend with a lot of testosterone coming to you and then talking about women in quite a derogatory way, and maybe young Zach would have mirrored that and gone back, yeah, let's have some
good tits on her.
And you respectfully just said, yeah, mate, I'm not really into that. And that made him think about how he treats women and how he thinks.
And let me just put some context to that. And it's not that I'm not into it. You know, guys, don't start messaging me. It's that when I'm seeing somebody, I do my best to put my blinkers on because we can be distracted. So yeah, carry on. Sorry, Mikey.
Yeah, cool.
Just some context there.
I appreciate that. And I'm not really into talking about women in that way anymore. And that then, I suspect how your conversation with that person, he was quite thoughtful and conscious of how he approaches you then and what he brings into your life. So if you're very honest of what you want in your life, people that approach you are going to bring you what you need in your life.
100%.
So
and if
that was powerful.
And if he sees me happy with, because I was saying to him all day, and I was being honest, I can't wait to go and see Chloe. I can't wait to see her. Looking forward to seeing her. And then if he can associate the fact that I'm in a healthy, happy relationship, and I'm also staying away from, you know, speaking or thinking or looking at other women, he might think, because then when you're looking, because like I was in 2019, I was looking for a good woman, but I wasn't being the good man. If you can make that association, it's easier to achieve. But you first need to make the association.
And it did make me reflect, mate, because I've got good mates and people from the past, lads, where we go to the gym and we would talk in that manner, and somewhat there's some camaraderie and we're just having a laugh and, you know, being playful with one another on our past experience. But then I think when I leave the gym, how do you feel? What do you...
Subconscious as well.
Yeah, what's going into your mind? So I'm not saying everybody just change completely, forget your past, forget your friends, completely eradicate your conversations and just speak in a kind, loving, whatever manner, but just check in with yourself and see what it does to you and how you feel in reflection.
It is a self-awareness. Some people can smoke weed, for example, every day and still function completely fine. I personally can't do that. I'll every now and again I'll have a couple of drags on a spliff, and I know that any more than two, I'm a mess.
Yeah.
There on the spot and also the day after. Some people can do it every day. It's the same thing with the women aspect. We know that we've we've dealt with addictions to, you know, that in the past. So we know that we maybe need to stay away from that. It's like you don't go to Alcoholics Anonymous and everyone start talking about the good times they had when they were drinking. Remember that time we got busy? Oh yeah, shall we get a beer? Boom. So it's like you have to know yourself, be self-aware. We're not telling you to do anything. We're just saying what's worked for us and how maybe you can, the listeners or viewers, how you can take some of these and work them into your own life, I guess.
So for me, just looking to summarise it or bring it together is your experience you're in right now, your reality, how you're feeling, the people you're associating with. If you're hitting walls and you're feeling in discomfort, you're on that nail, and every encounter you're just like, I wish this was different, I don't want this life. just look inside. Look at what you're doing on the daily. Look at what you're consuming. Look at what you're consuming through your eyes as well.
Eyes, ears, mouth.
Yeah, all your senses.
Anus.
Completely true.
Just me?
But every aspect of your life, what are you doing? Because I remember vividly as a 17, 18-year-old just coming into politics is all a lie. We need to fight the man, the power. Mum, Dad, we need change. And then I'm thinking,
I can just imagine this cute little Mikey.
Dude, I was crazy for it. It was after the travelling days, so I just come back a different person, but unhealthy in my approach. And I just was shouting out the rooftops. And I thought it was probably Jordan Peterson, in truth, that made me told me to tidy my bedroom first. And when I got that as a metaphor, I thought, what am I doing in my life? How am I approaching people? How am I giving off energies and frequencies to people? And that did make me start going inside. And it's a long, arduous process, and it takes a lot of time, and
it's worth it.
Like you said, it's not easy, but holy God, it feels good at the end.
It does feel good at the end.
It does.
So beautifully wrapped up there, mate. I think the quote is just what we've said. Be the change you want to see in the world. That's the quote, Lynn. Guys, thank you for listening. I'd like to ask a favour, if possible, you kind giving individuals. If you enjoyed this podcast or any of the other podcasts we've done, if you could refer us to a friend, maybe send a link to somebody who you think might be interested in this topic or another topic we've done in the past. Just get these referrals going and help us to grow, help us to reach more people. And also, if you've got anything that you know, reach out if you're feeling down, if you're having those bad thoughts. Or if you've got any ideas for how we can improve as people, or if you want to challenge any of our thoughts and beliefs, and we're happy to hear. So thank you for listening, guys. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit share, hit all the buttons that boost the algorithm. Thank you for listening.
Words and wisdom. I always have to have the last word.
No.